Hello, YouTube subscribers. So, I have a couple little updates. First of all, I don't think you can really tell, but behind me, oh, there, yeah, you can, look. So one of the cool things about living in a house is that my husband has grass to cut, and it makes him really happy to get to wake up on a Saturday morning and go cut the grass. And so I think it took him an hour to do that little bit, and see if I spin. And the part he cut, like, you can't really tell, but it took him like an entire weekend to cut like that section of our lawn. And you know, we're here in our house for approximately 10 days out of the month, but you know, cutting the grass, cutting the lawn. I think you have to be a dad to understand that what excitement you get from cutting the grass. I didn't get it. But anyways, that's not the point. That's not why we're here today. Today, I wanted to share a story about being a YouTube subscriber, because you know that for 3 years we had a YouTube channel and I don't think I ever once went on YouTube. I don't know, I was just so busy. We never had Wi-Fi. And then by being in a house, the state of the world, and my new obsession with crypto, I like devour YouTube videos till like 2 in the morning some nights. That's my dark secret. That, yeah, we can thank BitBoy Crypto for that. Anyways, so what I realized though is, like, if you're a YouTuber, you're just on YouTube. And so I have this crossover. Like, here I am, like, you show up on Instagram and then you show up, oh, I don't show up on Facebook, but you show up on the podcast and then you show up on YouTube, and your brain has to shift gears all the time. And I thought it was like kind of a disservice if you're a YouTuber for me not to share these new podcasts that I'm doing. I mean, I don't share every podcast on here, but to share these new ones. So I've started interviewing people that also defy the norm, because as much as I love to just talk myself, there's a lot of people out there that are really cool and awesome and living boldly and outside the box, and I wanted to get a glimpse into their life too, because, you know, it's not easy. I mean, I think people look at me and like, well, it's easy, Robyn, for you to just step outside the norm and go live life like you do. But like, that's not like for me. So I thought if I brought on other people that are maybe more relatable, you might like that. So every Monday, I'm going to make an effort to, we'll see, I'm not the best with consistency, but make an effort to show other people who are defying the norm. So today, the first one is going to be Shannon from Fulltiming Families. Now, she has a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So she's at a totally different stage of life. But there were a lot of things that were relatable in this interview, and I wanted to share them with you. I think you might relate to a lot of them yourself too, in that, you know, if you have younger kids, you just feel so in the grind. You know, I remember it was a light bulb in our marriage when Victor and I could finally just leave the kids at home and escape for a 30-minute run, and to see like how much life has evolved since then and the new freedoms you feel. And you know, every stage of life is beautiful, but like each stage of life can definitely be hard. So I hope you enjoy this interview. I hope you like the new format. I'm still going to be bringing in tons. In fact, it's summer. I realize I got to go and create a bunch of content for you to get you out hiking and camping. This summer is going to be a summer of madness, I think, in the outdoor adventure and travel world, because national parks are like, everybody wants to go to a national park, but let me tell you, like, national parks, it's a mess. I would not recommend going to a national park this summer, even though I have tons of great blogs and content, and I'm going to make all these great videos for you on how to go to a national park and maintain your sanity. But it's kind of like, it's going to be like Disneyland there. And I mean, I'm still going to pop into some national parks this summer, but I'm going to be like in and out as fast as possible. Just trying to get, national parks are great for some really beautiful hikes. It's easy to hike there. The trails are so well marked, but it is going to be a madhouse. And so I'll try to bring some videos showing like other places that might be better to go. I just updated our Idaho blogs, and I thought, man, all my friends in San Diego and California, like, if I had the chance to go on a road trip, I would definitely skip a national park and just go straight to Idaho or to South Dakota, because there are so many amazing things to see out there that get you almost a better experience. Like, did you see our last blog, us camping at that lookout? That was so cool. That was one of the best things we've done. Anyways, so let's turn it over to the interview with Shannon at Fulltiming Families. I hope you enjoy this. Send me an email. Let me know what you think, because we can't have comments here. You're the first person I'm recording for the podcast, so I'm really excited to have you on here. And we had this idea and a while ago, but I have to tell you that it's because my astrology and moon omens. I always get do you get moon omens ever? Do you follow moon omens?
No.
No, it's like
I need to.
It's astrology, and so it'll tell you, Cancer, this new moon says this for you, or this full moon, this is going to happen for you this month. And so the girls and I always download our reading or whatever it is for our astrology each month, and it said something about you need to embrace your soul tribe more often. And I'm like, and it was like a light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. I need to start bringing in, because I'm not a very social person. I'm horrible about
Really?
making time.
I would have never guessed that about you.
I know people think I'm so extroverted, and I'm just like, really? I mean, between my own brain and the needs of kids and then adventure, I'm not a very social person. It's not that I don't like people. It's just I don't make time for that. And so when it said that, I'm like, I'm going to start interviewing people, because then I can bring the party into my computer. And that's probably a good starting point for me. So thank you. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel special. Yes, thank you so much. I love your family, so I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And I mean, you do such an amazing job of being more social. And I can usually ask my kids oh, how's Shannon doing over there? What's going on with these people? And they're so good about keeping up to date, and because you follow them on their social medias. It's like, I feel like I know you better than I know you.
I know. I feel the same way with your family.
So tell us, to start with, how long have you guys been living in an RV? What, give me a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah. So I think in June it's going to be 2 years. It feels longer, but it also feels shorter. But it's been 2 years. We started RVing. Well, long story short, my husband was going to get out of the military, so we bought a house in Maryland. And then he finally decided he's going to stay in. So I didn't want to buy a house everywhere that we went. So we finally just decided to jump on this. This was a dream we had long before we jumped on it, and we were just too afraid to jump into it. So that just presented the perfect opportunity to finally just go for it. And 2 years. It's gone by slow and quick at the same time.
I know what you mean.
But no regrets. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And where are you guys right now?
Right now we're in California, Southern California.
Okay.
So San Diego.
Are you still in San Diego still? Okay. I knew you were in San Diego.
Yep.
So but I didn't know if you guys were floating around a little bit. Well, I think that San Diego used to be our home base for a very long time. In fact, I'm surprised. Yes. I don't know, when did you guys get to San Diego last? Or have you been there the whole 2 years?
So I'm actually No. So I'm born and raised here. And I met my husband here, and then 3 years ago we moved to Maryland. We got stationed there next to his family. And then in November we ended up moving back to San Diego and getting restationed here.
Oh, that's neat. Where'd you go to high school?
Steel Canyon.
Oh, okay. I went to Monte
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, well, because I was
born a charter school. So
yeah, that's awesome. I know exactly.
Were you in San Diego for high school?
Yeah, my husband and I are both born and raised. All of our family's still in San Diego. So, yes, he went to Saints, but I went to Monte Vista. But yeah, Steel Canyon's East County, so that's where I grew up.
Okay,
I know what
we're neighbors.
That's right. I just graduated, probably a decade different. So you have 3 kids? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm old. I'm old now.
3.
In fact, I saw somebody from high school we were in San Alejo, I don't know, a month ago, and somebody recognized me, and I was like, whoa, I can't believe you recognized me. But then I thought I probably don't look that much different, just a little more wrinkled.
No. I hope to age like you do. I hope to age like you do.
Well, thank you. Um, okay, so tell me, kid-wise, how old are your kids?
Yes, I have one that's about to be 7, one that will be 5 right after, and then a 3-year-old.
Okay, you're in it. You're in the heat
I could have
still.
kept
I'm
that
going to tell
simple
you.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Yes, I am.
I tell people about that. Like, you probably feel a little light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not quite bright enough. I mean, it's kind of like RV living,
Yes,
though.
it
It's
is starting to get a lot easier.
yeah, and it's goes by so fast, so you're trying to savor it, but at the same time, you feel like you want to breathe a little bit more.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
did
absolutely.
so like with Defy the Norm for us, it's all about living boldly and bravely and outside the box. And do you feel like when you decided, you mentioned that it was a little scary, you had some fears. It was your dream, but you had some fears about
Yeah.
living in an RV. Do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like people were going to judge you, or do you feel like more that, oh, I don't know if I have what it takes to live in an RV?
That's a good
Hard
question.
question. Sorry.
So I don't, no, it is and it isn't. So at first, I don't really care what people think. I know that sounds really cold-hearted. That was never like a concern for me. I was more so concerned about what my kids would feel about it, like being so confined and not having their own space and their own beds and like decorating their room like normal kids, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it hit me the hardest. But for me and my husband, um, this was always something that we've talked about. And then it's something that we want to continue after our kids are out of the house. So this feels like home to me. And I know it seems crazy to people, but um, there's definitely, I'm not worried about people judging me to answer
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know your concerns. I mean, when we first started living in an RV, Gabby was 14, and that feeling, I didn't feel so much about their house. I felt a little bit cold because they were already a little bit older. I felt kind of cold, and like when we downsized, I kind of was like, just throw it away, just throw it away. Like it's not that important. And then afterwards, I thought,
Yeah.
God, I'm such that type of person that I don't really care about these memories. I have the memories inside. I don't save things. And then after, I'm like, God, I was kind of cold to just
Yeah.
be like, just throw it away. But but they had this time when their friends were all going to prom and they weren't. We would be in Europe and they're like flipping through Instagram and like see all their friends, and
Mhm.
they talk about this on their own platform a little bit more, but it was hard. It was definitely guilt, so much guilt to think like, oh, I'm it, I'm making
Yeah.
them miss out on this. But with time and doing it over and
Mhm.
over and seeing these amazing places, both myself, I was like, well, I'm giving them something totally different. And I think you probably feel that, right? That
Oh, yeah.
they're missing out on something.
Oh,
Maybe they're
yeah.
decorating, but they're getting something that's like immeasurable in a way.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yes,
much.
absolutely. Way more measurable. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't regret it even at this point. I still, there's times I can't lie where I feel semi guilty because I want them, they're around people who aren't in RV life a lot. So when they see things and I can see their envy like picking up, it's both like saddening to me, but also a great moment to like teach them that it's okay if other people have things that you don't. Like we all have things that the other person doesn't. At
Yeah.
the
If you're
same time, I feel
constant,
like there's people who envy. Yeah, and there's people who are envying giving what we're giving our kids. So, I mean, we can't look at what we don't have. We have to look at what we have, is the way I kind of see it.
yeah. Well, that's a very healthy sacral chakra place to look at it from. So as long as you can maintain that, it'll help you through
Thank
the,
you.
because there's naturally some parts that you just feel like, oh my goodness, am I doing the wrong thing? And I think it's just part of it. It's normal. Um,
Yeah, just
the
motherhood.
Yeah, right. No matter what. So do you as a person, as not as a mom, like what are the things that fuel you the most? What makes you feel badass?
Um, just in life or with
Yeah.
like RV life.
No, just in general.
So Okay, the things that's a good question because I mostly look at myself as a mom. I haven't thought of myself like outside of that. What makes me feel badass?
Well, I noticed on
Honestly, like when
Instagram
I'm
you're,
on my
go ahead.
gardening, is that what you're gonna say?
Gardening? No,
Is it
I
gardening?
saw
I
you
love
painting
gardening.
at the beach one
Yeah.
day.
Oh, okay, yes. I love getting like artsy and creative. Um, I feel like that's where I feel most at home is when I get to like create things. And that's why I like gardening also. And I love to like cook, just creating things without going like off of a recipe or I'm just a creator, I guess I can say. As far as badass, I don't know. I like to try new things and when I get to do that, I feel pretty badass. When I
Yeah,
go outside of my comfort zone.
you like that. Do you
What
get
it
to
though?
do it very often, or
Yeah.
or with the age of your kids, does it feel like it's still a little limited?
My husband supports me a lot to do stuff like that, so I feel like I get to do it more than the average mom,
Yeah.
but it's definitely limited than than I'm sorry, my kids just walked
Yeah.
in. Definitely more limited than someone who doesn't have kids.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I just tell you, like the age when my oldest three were 7, 5, and 3. It was pretty badass if I got to go for a
Yeah.
run. So it wasn't like I was living this life
Okay. Yes.
when my kids were that age. So I asked the question, but it's not expected to be like, oh yeah, I just go climb rock walls every other Sunday, and that's not the
Yeah,
expected. And
no.
it was
I
only
wish.
when my kids got to a certain age that I had the space to do that. And it helps when they can do it too with you, because I kind of, as much as I like to adventure, I only do it because I do it with my kids. If they were like, oh mom, I hate doing this, I probably wouldn't go do it for myself, because I would choose being with them instead of
Yeah.
doing something just for me. It would be
Oh
harder.
yeah.
It would be much harder. um, is there something that like that
Yes. The older
you look forward to, like, oh, I can't wait till they're whatever teenagers? And
oh, yes. I mean, honestly, like time with my husband is what I'm looking the most forward to.
yeah,
And I know that that sounds bad, but um, we we had kids really young, so we didn't really get a lot of like adventure time together, or all of that fun stuff. So I'm really looking forward to being able to share more experiences just with him and I. But with my kids, I'm also looking forward to, this sounds silly, but just having like simple conversations and moments with them that they don't quite understand yet, you know?
yes, oh totally, because um yeah, I mean, like, they're my best friends now, but they're what, 21, 20, 17, 12. I mean, even maybe not so much my 10-year-old. She's still a little young to have those kind of conversations, but it's getting there. It's like night and day. When the big moment is when
Yeah.
your oldest turns about 12, because I remember that I got married. Well, I met Victor, I was still 17. And then we got married when I turned 21. We opened a business when I was 20. We had Danny when I was 22. So I know exactly what you mean about, like, I was so busy, mom. Like, I just wanted to be with my husband more. And then, so we ended up
Yeah.
opening that business just because I was like, I just want to see you all the time. And so we opened a business together, and then we had our kids around us all the time. And it got to be, even though we were around each other, it wasn't the same. It's nothing like it is now as far as the space in our relationship, because our kids are older. But when your oldest turns about 11 or 12, it's like this new freedom that you have in your relationship, where you can be like, okay, you guys stay in the RV, we're going for a walk. Or we're going for a run together, or whatever, or we're going to run to the grocery store. You guys are good for an hour. Like, that just opens up so much space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I
know what
feel
you're
like I'm at a point right now that I can't even imagine that. But it's gonna come. I know
yeah, it
it.
will. I know. And I, like, when you say it, I'm like, oh, it feels so vivid when I was in that space of like not having that. And you remind me, so it makes me
Yeah.
smile. Um,
Oh.
So let's see. Do you homeschool your 7-year-old then?
So I did. We just moved to like a really small town that has a really small school that I actually went to as a kid. So I decided to put him in just because of COVID. He, we weren't able to do like homeschooling with other families as easy, so he was lacking that connection. Um, so actually, come September, we're gonna go back to homeschooling. But right now he's in public school.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it gives you a little free
So,
space
yeah.
to, to it's hard. It's
It
no
was
matter
nice.
what, it's hard.
I can't lie. Yeah, but I think I'm the only mom that's like, please don't go back off of spring break. Let's stay. I don't like the structure of public school because I like to go and do things, and it's just hard. It's really hard to like have a routine like that. That sounds weird,
Oh,
but I want to be able to like go off with him,
yeah. I mean, I think, don't you think that living in an RV is one of the first things you kind of fall in love with is adaptability? Like, I can leave, I can come, I can go, I can move
Yes,
my RV to another spot if I want. It's so, and I mean, as much as like I'm a planner, I hate routine. I don't like. I like to just be intuitive. If I wake up
yes,
and I feel like I want to just go hike today or go for a run, I don't want to think ahead about it. So I couldn't do that alone. I
exactly.
couldn't do the school systems just because I couldn't stick to a schedule. So I feel
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I think we're the same person because that's how I feel.
I
I
yeah.
want to be routined, but just not like that.
Right. Well, maybe the routine is like my routine is that I get to walk with my husband every day or we share a really amazing dinner together, but the routine of having to show up at a certain
Yeah.
time at a certain place every day. I honestly that's why my husband does all the personal training and I haven't done as much as we used to own a personal training gym together and it was like when we moved into an RV, instantly I'm like, I can't have like a full time schedule where I have to show up and so blogging naturally became an easier thing for me because I could be like, well, I can
Yeah.
go play and then I can write the blog at 2 in the morning or
Mhm.
find some other ways. But
No, that's awesome.
he loves his schedule. It's funny how opposites attract.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Does your husband like the routine? If he's in the military, he's probably used to a routine.
Um, so as far as I think he's learned to not like routine, um, but we definitely are opposites attracting. But as far as that, we both like our freedom. I think we're pretty similar in that one.
Do you guys, does it look like you have to stay in San Diego or are you hoping to move to other locations?
Um, we're supposed to be here for 2 more years, but if he like ranks up, then we might have to move sooner, but probably not. San Diego's pretty big.
Yeah.
Um, but if we can, we kind of want to try Hawaii or Spain, which might take us
Ooh,
out of the RV for a year or two, but give us some pretty cool experiences. So
yeah, both
we're
of
open
those.
to moving. Um,
That would be
yeah,
awesome. Both
can't
of those would
complain.
be great destinations to go to. Been to both. We
Yes.
spent a lot of time in Spain. It was nice. Spent a lot of time in Hawaii. Um,
Oh, really?
if
That's
I don't know.
awesome.
So with the defy the norm idea, like, is there any tips you'd give people if they're thinking about like stepping outside their comfort zone, whether it's living in an RV or homeschooling or anything? Like,
I guess my tip would be to just stop overthinking it. And I know that sounds really cliche, but um, I mean, we spent 2 years like daydreaming over fifth wheel living, and now that we're in it for 2 years, I'm like, why were we overthinking this? Um, and I think that goes with anything that I've been nervous about, that doesn't really align with society. But I think if you really ask anyone who's done this for a while, um, we it's almost like second nature now. Like we don't want to follow the flow. You start to realize and your eyes start to get open that like the way society's doing it is just wrong. Like,
Yeah.
not judging people who are like in that flow, but it's not right once you feel what's right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have you, for the last year, have you been outside of San Diego much? Have you gone? I know you went to Arizona
Yes.
for a little
So
while,
it,
right?
yeah, so in 2020 when COVID hit, we actually did 3.5 cross-country road trips in 2020, and then in 2021, I think we were able to hit, another, like, 15 states coming back. So we've done a lot of road tripping, over
Is
the
it
last 2 years
amazing?
for sure.
I mean, since we're both born and raised in
Mhm.
San Diego, we love a lot of people there. Is it amazing to see the difference in like mindset, mentality? Like San Diego, like the rest of the U.S., there are places that are like it, but for the most part, most places are not like San Diego right now. Do you notice that when you travel? As
No.
no,
With mask regulations and
just
stuff?
masks, even
Is
like
that what you mean?
yeah, like yes, masks, but even like just
Yeah.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, and everything that is attached to that, just kind of the fear mindset, the like
Yeah.
judgment mindset. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I leave. We've only gone into San Diego. I ran back to surf and grab couches a month or two ago, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is still going on here. And then my husband went back to work for in San Diego a week ago, and he's like, whoa, this is so different than what we're used to now. And Montana's everything's open, so
Yeah. Oh, I wish. So Arizona, when we went last month, people were walking in without masks, and it felt so nice. Um, so every state definitely was different. We went to New Mexico not too long ago too, and I believe they were the ones that were like restaurants were even closed down. So every state is so different.
so different. Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, we keep to our bubble, and not that we don't, like, respect people who want to wear masks, but, like, if I'm outside in San Diego, I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
If I go in a store, I'll put it on to go through the doors, but pu I I peek my nose out.
Yeah.
So, I try to, like, balance respecting other people here and respecting myself at the same
Yeah.
time, so
Well, I was just thinking it's in terms of like how you said you overthink things or people in general overthink things. I think they overthink it because they don't know any better. Like if you're in a bubble, like when you're in San Diego, I know for me, when I'm in San Diego, I think, oh, wow, if I was only in this bubble all the time, my perception of reality would be so different. I would naturally overthink something. But all of a sudden you escape
Uh-huh.
into these other areas and you're like, oh wait, that like my perception was not necessarily reality. And so I think even in RV living,
Oh,
we want
yes.
all the answers. Like I get a lot of emails like with so many fears and like, what about this? What about that? And like you said, you're like, oh, we're
Mhm.
overthinking it. You just go and it works out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because my husband was born and raised, like, on the East Coast, and I'm born and raised on the West Coast, and even just, like, our cultural differences, like, it that we had a lot to work through with that in the beginning of our marriages, because he never left that bubble, I never really left my bubble, and then we both had this idea of how life was supposed to be, and then, once we both started to travel a lot, we were like, we were both messed up with, like, how we thought life was supposed to be, so
well, I'm going to tell you that's a match
even in
made
the
in
United
heaven
States.
because since you're familiar with San Diego, I was born in East County, kind of like out by Lakeside, El Cajon area, and my husband's from South Bay, down by
Yeah.
Chula Vista, and he's Mexican American culture. Like we're from the same city per se, but like completely opposite, and
Oh,
parts
that's
of that have
com
made it a
yeah.
really complementary, and some of them are like. I think what you said is perfect. Is you have to go into it knowing that we're both wrong. If you go into that we're both right and you're trying to
Yeah.
protect your way, it won't work. But like if you're like, yeah, I was wrong, and he's like, yeah, I was wrong, and now we get to like kind of jumble it together and like let's try to create something different here.
Happy medium.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I know you're super creative because you do a lot of the remodeling in your RV, right? Or have you guys done a lot of like, weren't
Y
you guys
y
doing some
yeah.
remodels?
Yes, I would like, yeah, we've done more than I'd like to admit because we do have a 2020. So we bought it brand new and just started remodeling it because there's nothing when I have a house, I've always been this way. When my husband was in the military, I might get in trouble. But I went to his barracks and started decorating it because I'm like, this has to feel like home. And I'm the same way with here. Like I want this to feel like home. I didn't want it to feel like an RV.
Yeah.
So my husband, he was a little apprehensive, but once we started to like piece it together, he was like, I'm happy that we did a lot of remodeling, because it feels like home now and not a fifth wheel.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I mean, I wish I could do that to ours. I don't think I have it in me. Our class C, we did
No,
try to remodel it, but
you're
we didn't do it right. And so it didn't come out that great.
oh my
And
god,
then
what did you do? No, you're overthinking it. You're
yeah,
overthinking. No, um, I will have to show you some of our failures because if I can do this, anyone can. And it was not pretty. But do continue about your remodel. I'm sorry, but I just
yeah,
was
no,
like,
it's
no, I
well,
don't.
like
I hope that people know it's. It may look really pretty on Instagram now, but it was a disaster, and I cried, and I've messed up. I had the whole paint on my cabinets peel off. Like I'm not good. I've gotten good though.
that's awesome. When it peeled off, did you have to like go back and resand them and then paint it again, or do you just touch up?
Yeah,
Yes.
I had my kids picking it off, and I had to go resand. I'll have to repost a picture of my stories
Okay.
sometime soon
That's what we did
because
to
now
our
I won't
class
cry about
C.
it.
I was like, yeah, luckily we weren't living in it, I guess, at the time. But yeah, I like, oh, we'll just throw some white paint on it. It'll look so great. And it did look so great for a couple of weeks, and the paint starts peeling and like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we
sand
don't
can.
sit still very long is our problem. So it's as much as when my kids were really young and we'd move into a house, like I would have the entire 3,000 square foot house painted in like a week myself. I mean, I put the kids in front of Dora for 2 hours, paint as much as I could, and then like play with them for a half hour. Then put in another 2 hours a day, like just go, go, go. And I think now it's just, I don't know. Maybe I just used up all that type of energy back then because I know what you feel like, but I
No,
I don't know if I can do it. Our fifth wheel trailer
I know.
is it needs a remodel, but I don't know. It's a lot of work.
Oh. At the same time, there's a charm to not having like feeling the need to remodel it and just like existing. So part of me wishes that I just like was fine with whatever it looked like. Sometimes I feel like I get caught up in the aesthetics of it and it's silly, but do you mind if I know you're interviewing me, but I would really like to know what is your Enneagram? Because when you say that you like could sit your kids down for a while,
Do you know what's
and
funny? I
like
was going
just
to
go,
ask you
go,
the
go,
same
and you never
question. I
stop,
resisted for a second. I am an 8 wing 7.
I feel
I am the maverick to a T.
okay.
What are you?
Okay, so I knew you had 7 in you because of the go, go, go and like adventure. I'm a 6 wing 7.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, I was guessing.
So
Um,
we both meet
that
in the middle.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm usually anyone drawn to me has a 7 or a 7 wing in them. If I shouldn't even say drawn to me. I feel like
Yes.
that's the only wing or personality that kind of can like find the humor in my intensity. And that's pretty much it. That like I'm such an intense person that a lot of people are like, "Oh my goodness, Robyn, she's too much." But then if like you have that,
Oh
that's why I
no.
said like
Yeah.
in reading my moon omens, and I was like, oh, because I'm so much like workaholic, workaholic, and then whatever 5 o'clock hits, like, all right, it's time to party, or I'll come back to Montana and work really intensely, and then I hit the road, and it's like it's a party. Everything for me is like work, 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 and then party, and and so it's that like ebb and flow
I love
of that's not everybody's wiring for sure. They're kind of like, ooh, that's intense. And so I thought, oh, with
that.
interviewing people, I can bring the party into me, and then it feels fun.
No, I love it.
Um, yeah, that's funny. So in
No, I
grow,
love that.
I thought you were a 6 7, or I was trying to figure out if it or a 9 1 because of your creativity. There was part of me
That's
that
my
thought, well,
husband. That's
but
really
in
funny that you say that.
He's a 9-1? Really?
He's a 9-1.
He's
You nailed it in the head, yes.
it's interesting. That makes you guys a really good, very compatible, very go with
Thank
the
you.
flow, right? Easygoing.
Yes, he is.
My
Oh
husband
my
and I are,
gosh. Sometimes too much.
yeah. Because he doesn't probably like to make decisions, right?
No. No, and I need a decision maker.
Yeah. And can you tell what your kids are?
Um, kind of. It's funny because I can tell what other kids are, but with my kids, it's kind of hard. I know that my son, I think he's leaning towards a 9. Um, and then I can't tell what my girls are yet.
Okay. It's hard
Not
when they're
yet.
young.
I think they're too little for me to pick up. I know that they're not 8s, and I know that they're not like 1s
Okay.
because they're pigs. They're like,
They're too messy for that.
yes.
You probably could tell if they're a 7 really fast too, because I have I have a 5, a
Yes.
3, a 9, a 7, and a 6. And yeah, so our and then my
Oh
husband's
God.
a 2. And so it's funny to have 7 of the 9 personalities in our family. It's really good,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because it's taken, like, I know how to navigate it. Like, oh, this is where you're amazing. You do this. We plug everybody in. It's kind of like I run a corporation in my house. Like we have a ladder. Like, okay, well, you're at this wing. You're doing this. You're head of that part, and everyone, we just delegate. But it's pretty neat.
I love that though because to get to know like your kids on or enneagrams in general, I feel like I've been asking everyone lately what their enneagram is because it helps you understand like how they work so much more, and then you can understand how you need to. It's kind of like the 5 love languages. Once you know their love language,
Mhm.
you can give them love how they receive it. Well, it's kind of like with enneagrams. Once you know how they work, you know how to like um, understand them and reach them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Um, have you watched any of our Making Mindfulness Fun videos? No.
Yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes.
Okay. There. It.
Yeah.
That's like everything we've been breaking down is like is how important, even for communication, but like for self care. Like what you need as a 6 is totally different than what your husband needs as a 9, just to like break even, really,
Yeah.
to like keep your head above water.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. Do you know your Myers Briggs? Do you know what that is?
So I I do, but I never. There's so many letters in them. I know I'm like it's like a rare one, but I actually think more people are it than not. But it's like the introvert. I'm like somewhat introvert mostly, and then semi extra. I don't know the like
Yeah.
INJF. Like I don't know that
Right.
the letters of it, but I
Okay.
know that I refuel by like alone time.
Yeah, and you'd be like the same as me, where people would perceive you as extroverted, but really you're
Yes.
introverted. The yeah, myself too. Um,
Yeah.
it's funny too. You probably didn't. Did you know you were a 6 before you moved into your RV?
No. I'm not even sure exactly what a 6 is.
So it's funny because you nailed it when you said like how you were like you overthought it, and that's like super normal for a 6, 7. Like your 7, your
Oh,
wing's
yes, yes.
kind of like your behavior, where what how you but your 6 is like with like the core desire, so your core desire is to be safe, but your 7's like, but I want to go have fun.
Yes.
And so like naturally you'd overthink it. That would be obvious. Like a lot of 6, 7s actually do choose this lifestyle because it does fit. As soon as you realize, like, wait, it is safe to live in my RV. Like I have all I like I,
Yeah.
truly a 6, 7 is like, as long as it's safe, where's the party? Where's the fun? And so it's, yeah,
Yes.
it was
Yes.
it was natural that question would come up for you. Um, if you were a 6, 5, you would have like researched every single detail about living in an RV. But the little bit I know of you, I don't think you have that your 5 wing is that you're not a huge,
No,
like,
no,
yeah,
no. I think I used to be somewhat 5, but I've gravitated more towards 7 for
yeah.
sure.
That's great. Well, this was really fun. I appreciate you sharing your insight for how you defy the norm. And I think you're doing a great job with raising your kids. It's hard. I know it's hard when you're in the mix, but keep it up. Hang in there because it's a
Mhm.
really amazing, it's a beautiful journey you're
Thank
on. So
thank you so much. And honestly, I look oh,
keep
no, I
going.
just wanna say I really look up to your family, like, when I think of, raising my kids, you always have to have a role model. I know it sounds silly because we know each other from online, but I really do admire your family and look up to the way that your kids bond together and, just your family relationships. I know it's never, like, perfect, but,
Yeah.
it's good enough for me to aspire to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So people can find you on Instagram at Fulltiming Family, correct? And
Yes.
yes, on Instagram. Okay, I want to make sure that way if they hear it, they can. You should definitely check out because Shannon has some really creative posts and a lot of inspirational posts too. I think you do an amazing job on your
Thank you.
Instagram. I struggle to stay up to date on Instagram and
No, you
to
don't.
well, Gabi helps me a lot for our
You're
Nomads
awesome.
account. She keeps
Go,
us on
Gabby.
track, but she usually is like, "Mom, you need to write an Instagram post again." I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it. I promise." I'm just, it's hard for me to stay on top. She does all of our photo editing, so she makes sure she gets the picture, and then she comes into me. Like I said, we're kind of like a corporation. She walks into me like, "Okay, I
Yeah.
need a caption. Let's go." And so we work as a team well, but I struggle. In fact, I'm
That's awesome.
trying to show up on my own personal Instagram more, but it's not my, it's definitely not my go-to.
Yeah.
It's
I
easier
mean, you're
for,
raising a lot of kids, so
yeah.
put them
And
to work.
I've like, yeah, exactly. I, well, and as I've taught them to become entrepreneurs, all we've done instead is just like added business models. So right now I feel like I'm running 3 businesses at once. And so it gets to be slightly
Yeah.
overwhelming, but I enjoy it. I kind of like being a workaholic. So it's okay.
You
Well,
guys are doing awesome. I
thank
love
you,
it.
Shannon. I hope I got it. I think I asked you all the questions. Oh, I know there was one more question. I'm looking at my notes really
Yeah.
quick. So to finish up, to wrap it up, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, okay, so this has nothing to do with RV life or anything, but if I could tell my younger self anything, it would be to find healing and make that like my priority because when I had a really weird childhood and I think that that's what's led me to be like comfortable like coming and going from like family and whatnot. But I was an angry kid, um, and I had a lot of growth that I needed to do from like pains as a child that I just transformed into anger towards the world. And over time, like, life won't allow you to just keep being angry or it'll just keep festering, that kind of emotion coming back to you. So I just wish I found healing sooner. If I could go back, I would tell the younger Shannon to find healing and be okay with the hurt and like find a way to make it benefit your future. Eventually I did though, so, I learned it later. But
Yeah. And it seems to me like you found the perfect companion to help with that. Like
yeah.
I relate to.
Oh yeah.
I think it was not coincidence that you were the first person I ended up interviewing. Um, I can
Oh.
relate a lot. Sixes and eights actually have a lot of similarities. A lot of sixes actually
Mhm.
mistype as eights. Um, Eights naturally are angry type people, but a six that's not nurtured as a child in a healthy way will like kind of take on. If your parents had known that you were a six, they could have probably set you up um, for success better because
Yeah.
a big thing for sixes is loyalty. And so if you can't depend on your parents, it's really hard.
Mhm.
And like one of my kids is a six, and it's amazing, how much different I have to parent her than the others. And so it's
Yeah.
it naturally, that's I think a normal, I mean, I think we all have to heal ourselves for in some sense, but it is really interesting
Yeah.
to know that that pain was probably linked a lot to personality type, and that if, or which came first, because of that you became a six. Who's, it's hard to say. I had a bad childhood,
I
like
really, yeah. I
it,
always, I wonder that. I do think I'm a 6 because of my childhood, and then that's why I worry a lot, and I don't want, like, I will preface with my mom did a great job. She tried her very, very best given the circumstances. Yeah, no. But I I do think I'm a 6 because of my past. And I wonder, when my mom came to visit recently, she said that I have a lot of the same personalities as my youngest daughter. And I look at my youngest daughter and I kind of lean towards a 7 for her because she's very like go, go, go. And I remember being like a very happy, like fun and bubbly and like out there kid. I think trauma like changed that a little bit. But when I am my most healed self, I lean more towards a 7, which is very like outgoing and happy and wants to
yeah,
be just,
the
you
life of the
know.
party.
So
It
yeah,
is
so I do
interesting.
kind of think that it is interesting to know like did the chicken come before the egg? Who knows?
Yeah,
How
because
do you
my
ever
parents
know?
were divorced really young, and there's so much anger and fighting that the big thing with an eight is they're like, nobody's going to hurt me again. And so I noticed, like, yeah, if I had different
Yeah.
upbringing, maybe I wouldn't or have been an eight, but whatever. We are now.
Yeah.
And
And I would have, yeah, and I would have resonated as an 8 back, when I was talking about healing from the past. I would have called myself an 8 back then because I was very like, don't mess with me, don't mess with my family,
yeah,
don't mess with anyone that I care about. And then, not all 8s are like that because of trauma. I feel like you can be a healthy 8. I was not a healthy version of an 8.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know.
It's interesting. Well, that was
It
really good
changes though.
advice.
It
I
always
think.
changes.
I think a lot of people need to hear that
Thank
or can
you.
appreciate hearing that right now. So I'll let you go. I love your shirt, by the way. Together we
Thank
can
you.
change the world. Your daughter's
Thank you.
shirt. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I need a
It's
shirt like that.
fitting. It's fitting.
All right. Well, thank you for
I
sharing your
know. Old
time with me,
Navy.
Shannon. I appreciate it. And
Thank
anyone
you
who
so
wants to
much.
follow you, go check out Fulltiming Family on Instagram and be inspired to
Thank you.
defy the norm. I'm going to go ahead and
Thank you.